DJ Snyder here. It is April 23rd, 2015. This is a mental note and a profound thought that I had earlier today, and it is this. So, I was listening to the song Amazing Grace because the sound of that song is just so beautiful, and it is just an amazing song that literally just rings such harmony to the eardrum. And I got a thought. I was reading a book earlier called In Tune with the Infinite by Ralph Waldo Thrine, and in this book I'm reading a chapter, and what stood out to me was talking about how you can become an open source to the infinite power of all the universe. Okay, because we live in an abundant universe, and you can pull in this divine inflow. You just have to become one with God, or you have to become one with this higher source of energy and being. And the closer you are to God, the closer you are to that source. And so, what got me thinking was that, many people get saved in church, by Jesus Christ, or, they have a better connection with God. And, that's really how I look at it. It's like, you can become saved at any time, any day. And, it's not to say that it's like you got saved or anything, because God has always been there. It's just that you are now becoming consciously aware that there is a God within you. Now, I'm not saying that you are God, by no means. I think that there is a omnipotent, one higher being called God. And I believe that God is in everything and everyone. And it's up to us as human beings to use our higher creative mental faculties to realize that we are oneness with God, and that you can have that oneness by God by realizing it yourself. And that's when I think people, so get saved. And what happens is when many people get saved in church is that, they had a big impact, and maybe they had a realization and they were inspired to move closer to God. But several weeks later, like with most habits, people fall off and they don't stay consistent. And so it didn't emotionally internally stir them. It might have did, for that time being, but it was more of an external nudge. And now what I'm talking about is discovering an internal nudge within yourself by progressively realizing that you can be oneness with God by realizing this. And how do you realize this? You become aware. Okay, now how do you become aware? You study and you practice. You study the natural laws of nature, and you study the natural laws of this universe, and you become obedient to the immutable laws that we live by. And by doing that, you are practicing, and by practicing, you learn. And then when you learn, what I see is, why not teach what you learn, so that you not only learn more, but you share that which you know. And when you share that which you know, not only do you learn, but you share it with other people, and you leave everybody better than you last found them. And in this book, In Tune with the Infinite, talked about how if you draw closer to God, you, by an example, can draw other people to God, and you can lift His kingdom, and you can lift God's kingdom and become one, and have a whole movement of people become one. And it really just stands out to me almost as, an epiphany for what I do and for my business. And that is something that I want to do. That's my goal, is that I want to bring people closer to their divine inflow and to their oneness with God. And imagine if we can have all of God working through and with us all. And that's what I desire. That's what I pray for. And so that's a thought. I'm definitely going to save it. And, if you're hearing this, I hope it was useful.